Hey, hey! Holy cow! This ball's got a chance. It could be. It is the Shawn Mackey Show. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to season 3, episode 1 of the Shawn Mackey Show. Now we are into March. Things are transitioning. Do we want to focus only on the Cubs? Or do we want to keep hitting you with some Bears news? Figure out how to take this show like a traditional sports show where we have multiple topics on different sports with each episode. So we're going to try that out for you today. That's what we're going to do a little bit. Finally kind of got a look that I want here with my studio, with the little things here in the foreground and then in the background. And, you know, there's some news came down that Apple Podcasts, we're going to start hosting videos, and everybody's all, oh, you got to have professional quality videos. And you know what? I'm just a regular Joe who's sharing my opinions in a podcast. That's what I'm doing here for you guys. I'm limited. I got what I got, so you're going to get what you get. If the numbers don't increase, who knows where we go with the show. I enjoy doing it. I'm learning some things in the realm of video, and I'm going to keep going. You know what I'm saying? So let's get started with the first episode here now in spring training. March, the Cubs had do we want to say a successful offseason? Is that where we're really at to say that they were a success? We're going to talk about who they've signed. I've got some theories on one guy in particular. And it's like the best signing I actually liked all off. I mean, Alex Bregman thing. I got some things to say about that, but it's gonna be one of those things that it's like, you know, it's a guy that you want to hate for certain things, but now that he's on your team, you're going to love him, I guess. I hope. Anyway, we'll see how it plays out. So one of the first signings this year that the Cubs had that I really liked was relief pitcher Phil Maton. And I really liked it last year when the Cardinals signed him. This kid grew up a Cardinals fan. And so for him to be able to put on that uniform and play for that team, I would imagine was a complete dream come true for him. I never met the man. I never met either of his brothers. However, 2 or 3 of my children took his mother's art class because he graduated from, and he's right from the area where I now bring you the Shawn Mackey Show. So he's for us, and I'm not for, you know, I grew up in Chicago, right? Spent till I was about 35 in the Chicagoland area before I moved down here. But this is where my wife is from. This is where my girls are from. 2 of my 3 girls are from. So to say for me or for us in this area, he's a hometown kid. He absolutely is. This is great. He's pitching for the Chicago Cubs. He's been a pretty good pitcher. I mean, he made his debut in 2017 for the San Diego Padres. High strikeout rate. Kind of one of those sought after relief pitchers that people are lucky to have on their team. And I was really excited when they signed Phil Maton because, you know, just again, not only it being a situation where he's from where I now reside, but he's a great acquisition for the Cubs. He can really solidify that bullpen in the later innings, and I really enjoy that aspect of it. Now I've got a theory. Because Phil Maton is a very sought after individual, uh, when it comes time to June or July, if the Cubs feel they're not in it, even though you gave the kid a 2-year contract, you're going to shop him around to a contender? Will he be gone like he was last season after signing with his favorite team growing up, the St. Louis Cardinals? That's one of the things that I hate about sports and Major League Baseball, and we can get into that on another episode, but you know, now Phil has two younger brothers. Nick Maton was with the Phillies, Detroit Tigers. He's in the White Sox system. He's a middle infielder, can play the outfield's got some power. He's kind of been up and down, majors, minors over the last couple of seasons, but good for him. And then another brother, Nick, who's a MLB free agent. Oh no, he's a free agent. Nick, that's the first brother who's been up and down. And then Jacob was a pitcher drafted by the Seattle Mariners in 2018, who later played some ball at Coastal Carolina. So it kind of runs in the blood, and weirdly enough, maybe I'll get into it in future episodes, but there's a really big Chatham, Illinois connection here in Major League Baseball. We've got a couple of guys. I think Reed Detmers is pitching, I want to say, for the Angels. But I really like the Cubs signing Phil Maton. Again, good for him. He's from this area. And I had the pleasure of substitute teaching sometimes for mom's art classes, and two of my three daughters had her for art. So we have some of a connection, right? Some of the other signings that the Cubs went through, Edwin Cabrera, they traded for Edwin Cabrera, gave up Owen Casey. Is that how you say it? Cassie had a cup of coffee with the Cubs last season, kind of came out this year and said maybe he felt like he was being held back, that whole outfield deal. And I get it. That's a freaking fiasco that the Cubs got going on, and it's carried over to now to this spring, and it's something they really need to address, because I'm not sure what the hell they're doing. But anyway, Edwin Cabrera, he's been in the major leagues for about 4 or 5 years. He's 25-29 career. For his win-losses, he's got an earned run average of 4.07, 478 strikeouts, was kind of pretty dominant last year. He's coming off a year. Maybe this is a guy who's, he's only 27 years old, so maybe he's just going to get better as the years progress. And hopefully this is one of the signings that the Cubs did that they maybe would get right, and that he could be a mainstay in the rotation for years to come, barring injuries. Love to see that. Flamethrower. So we're going to see how the Edwin Cabrera deal plays out for the Chicago Cubs. Going to get some statistics here on the next episode, as we are into a few games here into spring training by the time this episode airs. But, we had to finish some things up with season 2. So season 2's final episode hit you over there on March 2nd. And then now, boom, we're moving into season 3, right? So we're at Edwin Cabrera trade. That whole outfield thing for me with the Chicago Cubs, it's so weird. I mean, you had Kyle Tucker. You didn't know if you were going to be able to sign him. Okay, I should say we as fans didn't know if you were going to be able to sign them, but you knew all along you were not going to give that guy the kind of money that he was looking for after you picked him up for a 1-year, basically rental deal. So when you had Kyle Tucker last year, there was that whole DH factor with Seiya Suzuki. He said he wants to play the outfield. He's a little bit of a liability in the outfield compared to a Tucker, right? But then once it was obvious they weren't going to bring Kyle Tucker back into the fold, they were thinking Seiya, they needed a 4th outfielder for that final roster spot. So they go out and get like 4 guys. I don't know what the deal is, but anyway, it even ties into our next cat. And I purposely went Phil Maton, Edwin Cabrera, because that's the relief pitcher, starting pitcher. That's the bullpen, the rotation. So we want to get there. But the next guy I was going to talk about was Alex Bregman, right? So last year, a couple of years ago, Matt Mervis came up at first base. He was supposed to be the end-all, be-all savior at first base, and he struggled early. And you kind of sent him down, brought him up, sent him down, ended up getting rid of him. In fact, I think he ended up trading him to the same Marlins. I don't know. I don't remember exactly. He's gone. He's out of my mind. But last year, Matt Shaw came on the scene. He was great defensively. And the Cubs organization was talking like, he's our end-all, be-all at third base. So that's our guy. We're going to let him play. We're going to see what we got. And he ends up like a 226 hitter at third base, and that's fine. That's something to build on for a rookie. Just had to tweak some things, right? And then the Cubs signed Alex Bregman. 31-year-old Alex Bregman, 5-year deal, kind of similar, close to anyway, like the Dansby Swanson deal. So now you're solidifying that left side of your infield, and that's great. What happened to Matt Shaw? Well, now you're like, well, we're going to work him out in the outfield. And he's been playing some right field this spring. And we're not going to get into statistics with them today. We're going to save kind of like the game recaps, the early first few games of spring recaps for next episode. But you go out and sign Chas McCormick. Then you go out and sign Dylan Carlson. And then you sign Michael Conforto. I mean, all three guys you signed to minor league deals, and one of them can bust on the scene. There was already speculation, like when they signed Carlson, it's like, what are they doing? Because he's one of those guys. All three of those guys are going to probably be guys, if they don't break with the club on opening day, if they're not on the 25-man roster, 26-man roster, whatever it is nowadays, because they keep changing shit. I don't know. It's 25, I think. I don't know. They'll all probably opt out of their deals. So I don't know what they're doing out there in that. I mean, you're saying Ian Happ. Yeah, you're saying Pete Crow Armstrong in center. So you got left and center solidified. Right field, because of Seiya Suzuki's glove and his liability as a defensive player, you got this carousel now where you basically have four guys. You got Shaw, McCormick, Carlson, and Conforto. So who are you going to end up going with? And you're rotating four guys. How much are you going to actually get to see during spring training to make an actually decent, educated guess? And who's going to end up being on your roster on opening day as that fourth outfielder? Do you keep five? You know, and then there's reports coming out, and I've seen that they're looking like maybe they might shift Miguel Amaya over to first base for his bat and versatility with the glove. And so then you're like, are you riding Carson Kelly for sure? But you got the younger kid coming up. I'm like, I just don't think the Cubs addressed anything really well this offseason. And if I had to give the offseason from last year till now, spring training, a grade for Jed Hoyer and the organization, since we have to wait and see on everybody they did sign. You know, Bregman's coming out an opening day starter. You know, Cabrera's there as an opening day starter. You know, Maton's there as an opening day option as a relief pitcher. But Conforto and McCormick and Carlson, right? You went out and you picked up Tyler Austin, this kid who had 4 or 5 great years in Japan. He's coming back to Major League Baseball for the first time in like 5 or 6 years. And now this dude is out. He like tears up a patella tendon or something in his knee, and he's going to be out for a good portion of the 2026 season. The Cubs go out and sign Shelby Miller. And this is a guy they had in their organization already a couple of years ago. And I don't think he was that good. But they go out and give him a 2-year deal, knowing he's coming off Tommy John. So they're basically paying him really good money to rehabilitate all of the 2026 season. And then you're just basically hoping for 2027 he could be a dominant pitcher again, which I guess after he left the Cubs the first time and wherever he had gone in between, maybe he re-established himself as a different kind of guy and had some really good numbers. But why are we signing guys? And this goes back to Theo Epstein. I don't know how many years we saw them signing guys coming off Tommy John surgeries in hopes of catching lightning in a bottle. And I've talked about this on previous episodes, and you don't really ever catch that lightning in a bottle, right? So Shelby Miller, let's wait till this pops up here for a minute. And I want to say, I know this dude was with the Cubs a couple of years ago. So yeah, in 2021, he was with the Cubs and then was shipped off to. So he was with two teams. He was with the Cubs and the Pirates. I think the Cubs shipped him off to the Pirates in the middle of the season type deal. But he had a 31.50 ERA for the Cubs in his brief stint. Okay. He was in 3 games. And then I don't know. I mean, he was with Arizona last year and then Milwaukee. And I guess maybe he had a little bit better of a couple of seasons after leaving the Cubs. But you give this guy a 2-year deal and he's going to rehabilitate. I mean, what happens if you get through 2026 and he's back trying to make a go of it and he can't? You know? I mean, this dude is 35. So that's where the grade for me for Jed Hoyer and the Cubs organization would absolutely drop significantly. If I wanted to say, well, you're hovering at like a B plus with Phil Maton, then you sign Alex Bregman, so maybe that bumps you up to that A minus, and then you get the starting pitcher. I'm sure they were just shocked as hell when Shota took that qualifying offer, right? But you get Edwin Cabrera. And so maybe you're hovering around that A minus, B plus range. But then to me, the whole Shelby Miller deal kind of brings you down to maybe a solid C. Okay. And since we don't know where Chaz McCormick and Dylan Carlson and Michael Conforto are going to end up as we move along into this season, we absolutely have to wonder again. But yet the reports come out, and I'm sure a lot of them are fake AI bullshit that I see on Facebook. And I really hate that, people who are doing legit stuff, can't get the same kind of love on Facebook or social media that these fake posts are able to be generated and grab onto your emotions and everything. So it's just one of those things that right now we're very early into the spring training for the Cubs. Some good things, some not so good things. They're 3-5 in the first 8 games. I think Shota was the first starting pitcher to actually get a decision in the spring. Jameson Taillon's been giving up some home runs. Matt Boyd looked better in his second outing. Really good. I think he looked pretty good in his first outing. Bullpen, he didn't qualify for the victory, though. But, they're working some things out in spring, so we're just going to have to see how the season goes and how it progresses for the Cubs. And hopefully, I'm not ready to... I know in a couple of weeks here, I'm going to bring on my first kind of co-host guest, and we're going to start talking in. We're going to make our predictions for the Major League Baseball, a few of the top awards for this season. He's a Cardinals guy. I'm a Cubs guy. So we're going to talk about a lot of the National League Central. We're going to make our predictions for that for sure. And I don't know if I'm ready to say that the Cubs are going to win the National League Central. I would love to be able to be a fan and say that every year, but my own opinions and the shit that I read into these signings and what they're doing and knowing what kind of position the Cubs are in financially. And I don't care whatever Ricketts tells you, it's bullshit, because it's major league sport. It's Major League Baseball. There's billions of dollars here on the table that the Ricketts absolutely have. So if they're serious about putting a winner together, I think what they did this offseason is just a little, yeah, here we go. We're serious about taking it all. But are they really? And I hope I'm completely wrong. Hope Edwin Cabrera comes out and he's like 19-7, vying for the Cy Young Award. Hope Alex Bregman's flirting with the batting title, right? Dansby Swanson starts hitting with runners in scoring position. Maybe it's all going to come together. I don't know. I'm not the guy in charge. Yet I'm just a fan like you who questions the things we see and the things that they do, right? So, and again, with this whole Alex Bregman deal, he was kind of surrounded and caught up in that cheating scandal with the Astros. And I never agreed with that debacle, immunity for all these players. Dudes were visibly cheating. And when Alex Bregman is confronted in like a fan fest or something, he just keeps talking about how the Major League Baseball and the Houston Astros made their decision, and I'm not going to comment on it more. And then he comes back out and says, I don't agree with my teammates, and I did, but I hope to learn from it and regain the trust of Major League Baseball, right? So, but he's one of those guys who's like Brett Favre or Aaron Rodgers, and you're like, you hate him because you're a Bears fan, and they're on the Packers. But damn it, if in their prime, in their good years, you were able to solidify them as your guy, you're going to forget everything else and embrace it. Well, I'm here to tell you that I'm not forgetting it. I understand what it was and what it is. Again, like Alex Bregman said, Major League Baseball and the Houston Astros made their decision. He's allowed to continue to play. He's supposedly still in his prime. So he's our guy now at third base. So hopefully, again, he's flirting with a batting title, just coming to the brink and leads the Cubs to the playoffs and the NLCS and then the World Series. And, oh, shit, we're back at it again, celebrating a World Series champion. I don't know. We'll see where it's going to go. So now I want to shift into a little bit talking about the stadium deal for the Chicago Bears. Told you about it last episode. I believe the Bears are making a shit ton of money. I believe they're making a big-ass mistake. The governor of Indiana is confident the Bears are coming over. Illinois governor, and then the legislature's just trying to scramble at the last minute. We still don't have a firm decision as to what's going on. I'm still up in the air. If they remain the Chicago Bears and they're just going to play in Indiana like the Giants and the Jets and the 49ers and the Dallas Cowboys, who play 20, 30, 40 minutes away from their actual designated named state or team name, then I'm going to be fine with it. If the Indiana people are making the Bears make a full commitment to become the Hammond or the Indiana Bears, I don't think I can follow them anymore. I don't know. I'm still up in the air on it. And you all should be making better, proper, educated decisions. Because regardless of what you think of Illinois governor, and they may be dropping the ball, this is, to me, a Bears thing. Someone is still owed $586 million for the renovation of Soldier Field in 2003. And the Bears were absolutely ecstatic and happy with that back then. They're paying less than $1 million a week during the home games in basically rent to the Chicago Park District. If they charged every single person who walked through their gates $300 for a ticket, which, by the way, is what the Google says is the low end of the average in ticket prices, in just ticket sales alone, they make $18 million a game, right? Let's see. Let's just say it's $100 a ticket, okay? I'm going to do some quick math here. We can't do that. That would come out wrong. 61,500 people capacity Soldier Field. Times $100 per ticket. They're still going to make $6,150,000 for that game, and they're only paying like about $810,000 a week in rent. Yes, people need to be paid. Salaries need to be met. Benefits, things of that nature. But it's still a shit ton of money. When you know damn well there's no way everybody that walks into the stadium on any given day is only going to pay $100 for their seat. Some people are paying $100. Some people are paying $1,900. So since the prices fluctuate, you're looking at, it's a lot of freaking money. So I really feel that this is a Bears organization being greedy. Don't forget that Virginia just passed away, and everybody else who, now that mom's not around and can't control things, are looking to like line pockets and make as much money as they can. They're trying to get taxpayers and everybody else to pay for their stadiums. And they got a perfectly good one, and they can stay where they're at, and hopefully they do the right thing. And to me, that's two different things. Either stay the fuck in Chicago, go to Arlington Heights, stay close, just, keep the Chicago Bears, or if you feel the need to go to Indiana, then just still make sure that you are the Chicago Bears. And I don't know why it's the name thing that's throwing me all up in arms, but it is. It does. It affects people. I told you. I've got a buddy who is still pissed off that the Rams left St. Louis. So, I mean, this dude's father was a St. Louis Cardinals fan back in the day, and then that team left and went to Arizona. Then they finally get the Rams, and they've got something to be proud of and cheer for. And after many years, the Rams owner decides to move back to Los Angeles. And so they're twice bitten. Okay? So it does kind of throw people. And I'm in that category right now that I don't know how I'm going to react or respond if they move to Indiana. I can tell you which way I'm leaning. If they move to Indiana and become associated and become the Indiana Bears, I'm sure I'm done. And you know what? You can call me a fair weather fan if you want, but this is something that they won't be the Chicago Bears anymore. They will be the Indiana Bears. I'm proud to be from Chicago. If I no longer have a Chicago NFL team that I can cling to, what's the point? I don't know. Hopefully things change for me. But thanks for sticking around. Thanks for watching Season 3, Episode 1 of the Shawn Mackey Show. Hopefully you like the new digs. Things are going to get a little bit better, I promise. I'm a little heated right now. I'm a little emotional. Carmine, bring me my espresso, please. I don't know who Carmine is, but if an espresso shows up here really quickly, I'm going to fucking freak out. Peace. Hey, if I made you laugh, made you think, or even made you smile, please tell all your friends. If I didn't, just keep that shit to yourself. Thanks for listening to The Shawn Mackey Show.